sideline, consoled by players. Player puts his arm around him. And then this is something that I really wasn't as aware of because I wasn't covering Tennessee closely. They were one of the many teams that I was covering in recruiting. But he throws his players under the bus. So what are we playing first here, Caleb? I'll pull it up. You set it up.
We're first going to show him crying. It's a 20-second clip, and when I first saw this, I thought a part of me was like, should I feel some sympathy?
No,
And then I'm going to play the post-game clip and show you why I don't. So are you guys ready?
So you got a player that's putting his arm around him, and you can see the score. If you're not
73-0.
Yeah, if you're not on our video platform, and they end up losing 73-0, your head is covering up one of the pictures.
I'm sorry. That's
fine. There's nothing you can do about that. But the count was 73-0, right?
Yes, it was 73-0. And here is the player. I'm just going to play it real quick. It's 12 seconds.
Now hold on. Before you pull that up, let me offer this, and you can pull that up. Butch Jones, I was told, and a lot of people shared more information with me when I wasn't covering Tennessee on a day-to-day basis than when I was covering Tennessee on a day-to-day basis, because I didn't report everything I heard because I was covering recruiting in the Mid-Atlantic area. So, I mean, there's a lot to cover. So, listen, I had one player, his father, who called me and said, Dave, I want you to know that if my son gets arrested for committing a felony, there was a backstory behind it. I'm like, whoa, what does that mean? And this is a very religious family. And Butch Jones used GD, you're a bleep. And by the way, you can say you're playing like a bleep, but you don't say you are a bleep. Like I can say, I mean, in my opinion, Caleb, this is how I've always approached it. If we're having fun, I can say, Caleb, you're acting like an idiot. But I would never say, Caleb, you're an idiot. Well, it was an idiot. It was a word that starts with P. So GDP. And the player said that if that ever happens again, my son is very religious, and I feel as if he will commit a sin and punch him out and repent for it, but he's probably going to go to jail for knocking his coach out. It's like, okay, well, that's good to know. And then you had the whole thing where he supposedly fell on a helmet. He didn't fall on a helmet. Nobody. Yeah, no, Darnell, who fell on a helmet?
He said Shy Tuttle fell on a helmet, and that's why he needed stitches in his head.
Yeah, he got punched because it was crazy. And punching somebody, by the way, without a helmet on in practice, I'm okay with fighting in practice, but punching somebody without a helmet on in practice is just chump. So, do you pull this up and his response after the game? And let's just go ahead and hear the Butcher throw everybody under the bus. Do you pull this up?
Yeah, let's pull up the clip of him crying. It's only a 12-second one.
Okay. I didn't know we were playing. Okay, so make him cry.
Yes. Number 7, 15-yard penalty added to the end of the run. Automatic. First down.
Now, Butch Jones will have plenty to talk about with his team after this game, and we mentioned their next contest against Memphis.
Okay, so that's the first one.
Crying, but very distressed, I would say.
Right, and before we get to the second one, guys, we're testing something out here, so we'll just be honest up front. Dave, you heard the sound on that, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, if you heard the sound, everybody else did. Perfect. So here's what Butch Jones said after that. This is what he said when asked about this in the post game. I kid you not.
This makes me ill, by the way.
I think a moment I saw him, I think the second half, Justin Parks came and kind of, consoled you. I think you were obviously kind of looking disappointed, discouraged. What did it mean for one of your leaders to kind of lift you up?
Well, there's a lot of players on our team that care, and that's the first part. When we got here, we didn't have very many. So now, and unfortunately, he couldn't play today. But again, it still gets back to pride in performance, pride in your preparation with everything you do. And like I said, if you get beat because he's better than you, I can live with that. It's the untimely penalties. It's the lack of effort. It's the casualness at times. It's all those things that bother me. And so, I expect this team will bounce back. Like I said, it's what do we take from this experience and gain from it like that Central Michigan team did. We can gain something from this. and we can become closer. We got to be more accountable to each other in the way we practice. On game day, the communication. I mean, there's a number of times we start the game and we call 2 blitzes and our money linebacker doesn't blitz. Then we misaligned on the first play of the game and they're on unbalance. And when you don't even align or do your assignments that you've been practicing over and over and over, there's a little bit of accountability on them as well. But it starts with me. It starts with our coaches. And this team will bounce.
Yeah.
Wow. He just spent 2 minutes throwing his players under the bus. Jerry, I put up on the screen, said, man, I don't miss him at all. If you haven't already lost that team at 73-0, which obviously he had in the preseason, you've completely lost them now. You've thrown them under the bus. How he ever got a job like Tennessee is beyond me. We're not only talking about a bad coach in college football, we're talking about a bad coach overall. I mean, we had Spencer Riley on the program. Spencer Riley could take over Arkansas State and have better success right now within 2 years than Butch Jones, because Spencer cares about his players and did not throw his players under the bus after the game. That was absolutely distasteful. Before I get to your thoughts, Rick Terry Jewelry Design, looking for affordable game day jewelry. How about the Fire Opals, a Tennessee tradition? RickTerryJewelry.com, RickTerryJewelry.com. What did you think of that very, very distasteful response after the game that he basically said half his team are a bunch of chumps and they don't know what they're doing?
Yeah, and he also the first thing that stood out to me actually was how he threw Blake Anderson, the previous Arkansas State coach, under the bus. Because the first thing he said was a lot of our players that on this team care, and that wasn't that way when we first got here. I want to remind people of something. When Blake Anderson was at Arkansas State, he went 51-37 in 7 years, won 2 conference titles and 3 division titles. Butch Jones in 3 years at Arkansas State has gone 2-10, 3-9, and is now 0-1. And he has the nerve to blame the previous coaching staff for what he inherited, when he inherited a pretty good, just for those who don't know, and Dave, you know this, Arkansas State's not a bad football program for a small level. You can win there. Gus Malzahn was there. Hugh Freeze was there. They've won. And he sat there and said, there's a lot of players on our team that care, that did, and that wasn't the case when I took over. You took over for a coach who won 2 Sun Belt titles there. What are you talking about? And he's acting like he's rebuilding it.